Ethan Blackwood, once a name that shook Wall Street, sat silently at the long mahogany table, staring at the final page of his bankruptcy agreement. One signature. That was all it would take to end everything. The empire, the legacy, the life he'd built over 30 years. Lawyers sat stiffly around him. The clock on the wall ticked louder than his thoughts. And then, a waitress refilling coffee froze mid-step. Her eyes locked onto the document. Her hands began to shake. "Sir," she whispered, "you should not sign that." The entire room turned toward her. No one knew it yet, but that single sentence was about to change everything. Chapter 1. The Fall of a Giant. Ethan Blackwood had not always been this man. There was a time when his name appeared on magazine covers beside words like visionary, genius, unstoppable. He'd grown up poor, the son of a factory worker and a school librarian, learning early that security was fragile. At 19, he slept in his car while coding financial software. At 25, he sold his first company. At 40, he controlled a multi-billion-dollar investment empire. People envied him. Competitors feared him. Employees worshipped him. But power has a way of attracting shadows. 2 years ago, everything began to unravel. A trusted partner vanished overseas. A risky merger collapsed overnight. Lawsuits stacked like dominoes. And worst of all, someone inside his company had betrayed him. By the time Ethan realized it, it was too late. His assets were frozen. Accounts seized. Creditors circled like vultures. Now, at 52, he sat in a private conference room above a modest downtown cafe, his last neutral meeting location, about to lose everything. Chapter 2. The waitress no one noticed. Her name was Lena Morales. 24 years old. Waitress. Community college dropout. Single mother to a 5-year-old boy named Noah. She worked double shifts at the cafe beneath the law office, refilling cups for men in suits who never learned her name. Most days she was invisible, but today was different. As Lena entered the conference room to refresh the coffee, she noticed something odd. The document on the table. She wasn't a lawyer. She wasn't rich. But she was raised by one very important person. Her grandfather, a man who had spent 40 years as a forensic accountant. Growing up, Lena sat beside him at the kitchen table while he reviewed case files, pointing out fraud patterns like bedtime stories. "Numbers don't lie," he used to say. But people hide lies inside numbers. As Lena glanced down, one line jumped out at her. A footnote. A single clause. Her stomach dropped. Chapter 3. "You should not sign that." Ethan exhaled sharply when the waitress spoke. "Excuse me?" one lawyer snapped. Lena swallowed hard. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt. I think there's a mistake in that document." The room erupted. "This is a private legal matter," another attorney barked. "You are completely out of line." Ethan raised a hand. "Let her speak." Everyone froze. Lena's heart pounded as she stepped closer. "That clause on page 12, she said quietly, pointing. "The one about the asset transfer timing." The lead attorney scoffed. "It's standard." Lena shook her head. "It's not. The valuation date is backdated by exactly 90 days. That would classify the transfer as intentional asset concealment, not bankruptcy protection." Silence. Ethan leaned forward. "What would that mean?" he asked slowly. Lena met his eyes. "It means once you sign, you could be charged with financial fraud." Chapter 4. Panic in the room. The lawyers exchanged looks. One of them laughed nervously. "That's absurd." Ethan turned to them. "Is it?" They avoided his gaze. The lead attorney adjusted his tie. "Mr. Blackwood, this agreement was prepared by professionals. A waitress doesn't." "Check it," Ethan said coldly. Minutes passed. The room filled with the sound of keyboard clicks and shallow breathing. Then, the attorney's face went pale. That valuation date shouldn't be there." Ethan's blood ran cold. "What happens if I sign?" he asked. The lawyer swallowed. "You could lose immunity protections, possibly face criminal charges." Ethan slowly placed the pen down. Lena stood frozen, unsure if she was about to be fired or worse. Instead, Ethan stood and bowed his head slightly. You may have just saved my life. Chapter 5. The truth unravels. Ethan dismissed the lawyers. All of them. He turned to Lena. Sit, he said gently. She hesitated. I need to know how you saw that. Lena told him everything, her grandfather, the late nights, the numbers. Ethan listened like a man hearing hope for the first time in years. Then he asked the question that changed everything. Would you be willing to help me find who did this? Chapter 6. The Hidden Enemy. Over the next 3 weeks, Lena worked secretly with Ethan and a new forensic team. What they uncovered was staggering. The betrayal came from inside. Ethan's former CFO, his closest friend for 18 years, had engineered the collapse. Shell companies, manipulated valuations, false reporting. The bankruptcy was never meant to save Ethan. It was meant to destroy him permanently. And the waitress no one noticed? She saw it all. Chapter 7. The courtroom twist. The day of the final hearing arrived. Everyone expected Ethan to announce bankruptcy. Instead, he walked into court with evidence. Chats, emails, recorded calls. The judge leaned forward. Within hours, the truth exploded across financial news. The CFO was arrested. Assets unfrozen. Cases dismissed. Ethan Blackwood walked out a free man. Chapter 8. A different kind of success. Weeks later, Lena arrived at the cafe for her shift. The manager pulled her aside. There's a man asking for you upstairs. Her heart raced. In the private room stood Ethan. But not in a suit. In casual clothes. I owe you more than I can repay, he said. He slid a folder across the table. Inside, a full college scholarship. A trust fund for Noah. And an offer. A job. Not as a waitress, but as a junior financial analyst with full training. Tears filled Lena's eyes. I'm not qualified, she whispered. Ethan smiled. Neither was I once. Chapter 9. Full circle. Years later, Lena stood in a glass office overlooking the city. Her name appeared on company documents, not as a footnote but as a decision-maker. Noah played in the waiting room drawing skyscrapers. And Ethan? He watched proudly. Because the day he nearly lost everything, a waitress reminded him of something priceless. Greatness can come from anywhere. Ending message. So remember this. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Never ignore the details. And never forget, sometimes the person who saves your life is the one everyone else walks past.